Before we start, I would like to, first of all, thank you all for coming. And second, I would like you to take a minute of self-reflection and answer one question. Aha, this clicker is not really working. Okay. How do you feel when you see tickets from customers on your support board? Just think about it. Are you maybe feeling guilty for missing them and not reporting before customers? I used to blame myself for that, so that's like my personal pain. Are you maybe sad or angry or demotivated because you worked so hard, you tested it all thousands of times, everything was fine, but still customers came to you and said, this is not working? Are you maybe confused how it happened? So whatever your answer is, whatever you feel, it is valid, it is legit. There is no correct or incorrect answer to that. What is interesting here is that we have one object in front of us, the board with a pile of tickets, but we look at it differently, we have different feelings about it, and we react differently. And so do our customers, actually, when they have our product in front of us. One person might be very, educated and know the background, and for them it's really easy to grasp what the idea is and how to use it. For another, it might be difficult and cumbersome, and they might just need some assistance, so they will come to you. Or some people like green buttons, and others don't, and they will come and report and ask you, hey, can you change it? It's terrible. So there is no single ideal product, and whatever, regardless how good your product is, there will be always tickets from customers. And that is okay. That's our life. So let's see what we can do with it and how we can maybe react to it and what attention we can bring to this topic to make our processes a little bit better and get a little bit closer to the ideal product in the end. So a couple of words about myself. My name is Lidia, and I'm in testing fields for more than 10 years already. Now I'm in Croatia leading a small team of testers for the SaaS products, and I have to admit that my whole world changed when I finally learned what my role is, and that was only 3 years ago out of 10. I was thinking, well, all of my life I was taking different roles like tester, quality engineer, QA, quality control analyst, you name it, whatever. And I was thinking that I'm supposed to just write tests, write test cases, execute them, and verify the implementation against the spec. That's how I was taught in the university. I'm that person who was lucky to have that as a discipline. I had software testing and verification. That sounds like really strange, but I had it. And they were telling us that all testers need to just do one thing. It's really simple. You have the ideal world, you have the specification, you have to find all the deviations. That's it. Well, yes, but life has proven that it's not all. We aim to answer so many questions. We are thinking, what are we building? For whom are we building? Do we know all the possible risks that exist? Do we have the right tools to build the product? Who are actually our customers? What is important for them? It's like so many questions, and all of this should be in our heads. Yes, we report bugs, but bugs are not just the deviations from specifications. They are symptoms of the problems. And they can actually help us to figure out what can we do differently to ease our lives and make the product better. We just need to look closer to it. Where to look at? Well, obviously at all places where people come to us with their problems. For example, we can listen to customers directly. We have customer support who are, let's say, operating in Zendesk. I guess everybody knows what Zendesk is, right? So we can have tickets there. We can have tickets, of course, in Jira, for example. Testers report bugs, developers themselves, if we're lucky, product managers. Actually, any role can come there and create a ticket for us. We can take a look at Slack, where we probably have some support channel. Raise a hand if somebody is using Slack as a support channel, at least internally in the company. A lot of people in the audience. So, and how often do you go through it? Like never, probably. That's how I used to feel about it. Okay, we close the problem, we answer the question, erase it from my memory. But that's a mistake. So we have a lot of places where people literally tell us that their experience issues. But some people might be still struggling, but they will not tell us. There are people who are just got stuck on your website, let's say, and they closed the button, they left. No answer. And we still can trace this, even if they don't report us directly. There are tools for that. For example, full story. Who knows here what full story is? Nobody. This is interesting tool, which is session recorder. You can literally watch what your users are doing with your products. You open it, you see all the clicks and buttons, all the types text, even though it is masked, we can, how to say, respect the privacy. And it is still enough, even though some details are blurred or just hidden from us, we still know what the customer was doing and where did they stuck. We can use Grafana to identify that something is wrong. For example, you have dashboards with lots of charts, and you see a spike of errors suddenly. Nobody came to you yet, but there is something going very wrong right now in the product, and we need to address that. So logs and alerts and like all of that monitoring things help us, and we should go through them regularly. The number of tickets and problems that we are seeing can be overwhelming, but I have to say it's not that scary if we have a structure. So let's build a structure. Let's take the pile of tickets, attribute each of them. For example, I don't know, set a label, write a comment. You can implement it in a different way, and group them into buckets. The first thing that comes to my mind is to group by priority, severity, something that's already in the system. You can group by support level, like was the problem reported by the customer, or and was it closed by the support team, or was it escalated to developers? Those all are interesting pieces of information about our processes. We can also group the tickets based on the number of affected clients. Was the issue isolated? Did it affect only one person, one account, one user, or was it affecting everyone? The whole system was down. We can also cluster by time to resolve or corrective actions, like what troubleshooter did when they closed the ticket, and many more. You can think of how many categories you can invent. I will just mention a couple of them, which in my context, in my company, proved to be the most important. First one is intent. Not every ticket is a bug. So we are trying to answer one simple question. Why was the ticket created in the first place? Did our customer user face
an obvious bug and they reported us an issue. Or maybe they wanted to do some action and they struggled to figure out how to do it in our system. So technically, our product is working, everything is fine, but client still needed an advice from our support team. Or maybe customer came to us with a request to do something which our product currently cannot do. So it's a feature request. Or maybe it was a notification. That's something which we are using for Slack mostly, because there can be people who are just coming to us warning about upcoming maintenances or migrations. So we have nothing to do with it. We just need to be aware. And a ticket exists for that. Another category is product component. So where did the problem occur? In which place of the product? In which feature, service, or product component? You name it. It's different. Doesn't really matter. Imagine you're driving the car, and suddenly on your panel you see red or yellow indicator. That's exactly what this label is doing. It tells us where is the problem. Not necessarily what the problem is, but you know where to look at. For example, if you have check engine, obviously you go to check the engine. The third one is quality criteria. This cluster or this category is widely used by our testers in the company, and we track which aspects of our product are most affected, let's say. Quality criteria are dimensions in which people determine the value of the product. For example, capability. Does the product do what it intends to do? Usability. Is the product easy to use? Security. Can we trust this product? Are we protected from the unwanted usage, let's say? And all of them, you have the huge list on the internet for these quality criteria. I guess my favorite one is from James Bach. I'm not afraid to say the name of it on the stage, but they have very extensive list, and we are using that one. So we gathered all of the information. We kind of labeled the tickets, and now it's time to visualize. We can easily see from the data how the intent was changing over time. Like, did our clients report us bugs mostly, or they were coming with consultations, or they had feature requests? We can weekly check which component was the most affected. We can simply get the ratio of critical, minor, and major tickets. We can see which feature was the most error-prone. We can build thousands of charts, but the most important is that from our data set, we can extract trends and ratios. And when we have that, we can involve people to our issue analysis. For example, if there was a spike of usability issues, we can go to our designers and ask them to go through the issues. If there were a lot of feature requests, it makes sense to involve the product manager maybe to go over them and see if we are going to implement it in the future. If there were a lot of consultations, so people were struggling to use the product, maybe we have bad documentation. So we can invite a tech writer and ask them to take a look at the tickets and see if there is something that we can change. So all buckets are kind of assigned to the roles. And after we as a team go over, let's say, our buckets, it's time to share all of these information with each other and the bigger audience, maybe. We will tell them, everyone, which patterns did we notice? Were there any repeated issues, maybe? If yes, then what were they? And ideally would be not just to say, hey, we had that issue 10 times, but to propose some action to mitigate it in the future. And that's the way how testers can literally impact the backlog directly. You don't have to build everything that is coming from the top only, but this issue analysis is a good way to prioritize tackling tech debt maybe, or UX debt, or any other. And in my company, we also used to share this information on the big company level meeting called QBR, or Quarterly Business Review. It's a big meeting when I think hundreds of people join to see how we as a product are doing. What are our financial indicators and different metrics? What is the adoption of the new features? What we actually released? How it is going? What is happening from the engineering side, not only from the product? What is the MRR? How much money we brought? And we, testers, got to that meeting to share the information about the whole quality of our product. So that is great, but what's in all of this for us, testers? So let's remind ourselves the core of a testing strategy. Like, what do we do when we need to test a new feature? We try to gather all product and project information in one place, like all of the documentation. You can get architectural diagrams, Slack channels, all that is related to the upcoming activity. Then we identify product elements, like what parts of our systems might be affected by the change that we are introducing. Then we do the risk assessments. We think what can go wrong and how wrong. So we are estimating the probability, and we also create some mitigation plan. We think about quality criteria again, like what type of testing do we need to do? What is important? Are we releasing some POC? So we need to focus just on the functional side, or are we releasing some rebranding and then we will need to use a lot of usability testing, for example? Or we change some minor thing in the backend and we will need to assess the performance. That's all about quality criteria. And knowing all of this, we define our testing activities, we write all of the test data which we are going to use, tools, and charters, or plans, or test cases, use cases. I will not go into terminology now, but you got the idea. So all of this we are doing every time we need to test something, and how the insights from the issue analysis can be mapped to all of this. Pretty much obviously that repeated issues will help us to do the proper risk assessment. If we know that last 6 months, when we were releasing something, 6 times we broke this place in the product, then obviously there is a risk we will break it again. Or types of testing, it's directly mapped to the quality criteria, as I mentioned. And also testing priorities. For example, if you kind of know that there will be an issue in a certain place, you did the risk assessment and you think, okay, we're introducing something, this place must be checked, like 1000%. I need to remember about it, I'll write it down, I'll check it. And it might make sense to prioritize it and test it first. I mean, by first, I mean only after the happy pass, because I learned it really the hard way. Once we were releasing a feature, and I was just 1000% sure that here will be a bug in this exact place. And when I got something to test, I immediately ran there, opened the page, did some actions, and I saw the error. And I was like, yes, I did it. I told you, you know, like that feeling, I told you. And of course, I was happy. I reported the bug. Happily, developers went to fix it. But I forgot to test the main use case. Like, there were thousands of issues, but I didn't even verify that the new feature is intended to do, that it can do what it needs to do. But yeah, that's like personal failure. But let's get back to the topic. What I want you to take out of this, there will be always tickets, always, regardless how good you test, how awesome your product is, you will receive feedback from the customers. And that is fine. Don't blame yourself if you do. Not all of the tickets are bugs. There can be different categories, as we saw. Then, just a reminder that quality is a shared responsibility, and this issue analysis is a perfect example of that. You have all of the roles involved in the process, and even formed backlog based on the team's feedback. And basically that's it. If you do it regularly, you will get a better quality product. Yes, that's it. So on this point, thank you for listening, and I'm always... Are there any questions, maybe?
Is there any questions?
Thank you for presentation. I'm curious, who's responsible for assigning tickets that are appearing later, like assigning them to the clusters and then prioritizing, etc., depending on what you use?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question. I didn't go deliberately into that topic because it's really complicated. I will share how we do it. We have Jira fields, like custom fields for, I don't know, the intent for this and that. And developers or whoever closes the ticket, they put it immediately, like before you can, oh my God. Those are mandatory fields that you cannot avoid. Okay. So you have to fill them in. And then we, testers, go through everything. We see that if we think that those categories were misplaced, we change it. Also, our product manager does the same. But ideally, I would say we don't really do it manually. It's not that you have thousands of tickets, hundreds, and you go and label it. It's really tough job. That's how we started. And then we decided that it is important that everybody thinks about it, so we put the effort on developers to do that first.
Any more questions?
Thank you.
It's lunchtime. No questions anymore.
Actually, it's not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Okay, but if you...
There's one in the back.
Oh, really? I'm blinded by the lights.
What tool do you use to visualize the data? I saw you had a very nice graph. Do you use just Google Drive or you have some special software?
That was Jira charts.
Got it. Thank you.
Just for that purpose. But if you do the analysis not in Jira, because not everything is in Jira, we used to aggregate all of the sources. For the simplest way, it's Excel. We just extract from Zendesk, Jira, Slack, like all of these places, we grasp the information into one place, then label it, and build the chart. So Excel is perfect fit for that. I just don't like how it looks. But yeah, you can do it wherever. But Jira has built-in capabilities for that.
There's one more. You got there first.
Thank you. Have you considered some machine learning or AI features for grouping or sorting or categorizing your tickets?
Sorry, could you repeat the question, please?
If you have considered taking some machine learning or categorizing features
yes.
for grouping the tickets or getting insights?
That's the plan. We were waiting for the company to get like our own Copilot or whatever ChatGPT instance, because now we cannot send the data to wherever. But yeah, that's the next step.
Great.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Well, in that case, big thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Not many people know that, but it was your first presentation, yes? So you did very well.
Thank you. Thank you so much.